but it's just opposite here. Why? I will tell you later. Okay? But we are heading now to the end of the east of the city. Okay? Our first stop will be a palace called Muntaza Palace. And after that, we will have a photo stop by the new library of Alexandria. And you can take some photos from it. We will be on the opposite side, not in the same side of the library, to take the best photo for the whole building from outside. Okay? The design of the building is very unique. Okay? This was till 332 BC, when Alexander the Great entered Egypt. So this was the beginning of the Greek period. Even Alexander the Great was Macedonian. Okay? But that's the beginning of the Greek time. And in 31 BC, that's the beginning of the Roman period. When we stop by the Roman amphitheater, we are going to stop outside to take some photos also. So that's the
interesting architecture.
So Muhammad Ali Pasha came here and he defeated the French troops in Egypt. That the French came here in 1787 and occupied Egypt. So the Islamic capital sent Muhammad Ali Pasha with an army. He defeated the Napoleon in 1801. The original plans to go back home, but he didn't. And in 1805, he announced that Egypt started to be an independent country. It has nothing to do with the Islamic Empire. It started to be his own kingdom. So Egypt started to be ruled by the family of Muhammad Ali Pasha since 1805 till 1952. When we had this revolution, which was an army movement, we got rid of the system, the kingdom system, and we started to be a republic ruled by an Egyptian president. Till now. So that's briefly the whole history. Okay? So today, of course, we are going to focus on the Greek and the Roman times. But our first site is a modern one. Dates back to the family of Muhammad Ali Pasha. Okay? So here, this district of Alexandria here used to be the district for Egyptians. Most of them, they used to live on fishing. And when we pass by the eastern port, you will see the fishing boats. So till now, a very big percentage of the Alexandrians, they do fishing every day. Some of them professionally, and some others just as a hobby. Okay, and we have a fish market where they sell the fresh fish every day. And this one of the main squares of Alexandria. If you want to take a photo, please prepare your camera. We are going to pass by a statue in the middle of that square. This statue for Muhammad Ali Pasha, the founder of the modern history of Egypt.
I don't think I want to live in Egypt. What do you think?
Well, this part certainly doesn't look very welcoming.
So please keep looking on your left-hand side. You will see the statue of Muhammad Ali Pasha. So I said that this was the district for Egyptians. So there are different nationalities who used to live here. Yes, of course, there are many different nationalities who used to live in Alexandria. And ancient Alexandria used to consist of 5 districts. Each nationality, they used to live in one of these districts. So before talking about the construction of the city, I just want you to have a look, because we are going to pass by a cathedral here. This one, which is in front of us right now, will be on our right hand side. A very small cathedral, but this here called St. Mark's. St. Mark's, you know, all of the churches here in Alexandria called by that name, St. Mark Church, because St. Mark was the first saint who came here to call the people for Christianity, and unfortunately that he was killed here in Alexandria by one of the spies of the Roman empress, because this was before acknowledging the Christianity in Rome, and of course it was before acknowledging the Christianity in Alexandria. So he was killed here, and he was buried in one of these churches here in Alexandria, which is the biggest in the city, and it is the most beautiful one because it's really very richly decorated. And the body of Saint Mark was there till recently. By the beginning of the 90s, it was taken to be in Venice. And what's in front of us here, that's the memorial of the unknown soldier. So we will be facing this building. I will tell you to prepare your camera to take photos for it. So this building of marble here originally was built by the period of one of the family of Muhammad Ali Pasha. His name was Khideb Ismail. Why he built this memorial here, it was not originally for honoring soldiers or for the unknown soldier. Originally there was a statue here for Khideb Ismail, and they put it here during the celebration of opening Suez Canal, which was the biggest celebration we had in Egypt. And after the revolution of 1952, they removed the statue from here and they started to use this building here as the memorial of the unknown soldier. This here to honor all of the soldiers of the Egyptian army who did the revolution. Okay? And what we can see here, that's the eastern port, and you can see also on your left hand side the fortress of Qaitbay, which is in the same location of the lighthouse of Alexandria. So let's talk a little bit about the construction of this city. So the construction of the city started when Alexander the Great entered Egypt. So Alexander the Great, he was the son of King Philip, king of Macedonia, and he succeeded his father when he was just 20. So he was so young and very, very ambitious. So this smart and young king, he wanted to take Egypt. He wanted to rule Egypt by any way. Why? First of all, at the very end of the Pharaonic period, the last 100 years, Egypt was under the influence of... Any one of you have any idea who were the first people who occupied Egypt before they... Oh, wheat! To make bread. Okay? So, that's the main reasons why Alexander the Great wanted to come here. So, Alexander was so smart. He never invaded Egypt as an invader. He never occupied, but he started to send messengers to the Egyptians to convince them that he was the savior. He came to save them from the occupation, the Persians' occupation. Okay? And it was not very difficult for him to convince them by this idea, because they were already waiting for a savior. They believed that one day the God will send them a savior. And he convinced them that he was not just a savior, but he was a son of a god, and not any god. It was the god Ammon. The god Ammon, who was the master of all the gods and goddesses during the whole history, the pharaonic history of Egypt. So, just by this idea, he already gained the support of the Egyptians. And to prove that he was the son of their god Ammon, he should visit an oasis in the western desert. This oasis called Sea Oasis. This oasis is very famous now for safari trips. So, to go from the capital, which was Memphis, on the top of the Delta of the Nile, to the sea oasis. He should cross the desert. But he didn't want that. He didn't want to cross the desert because if he'll do this, he will need a guide in the desert or he will get lost. So what happened that he decided that he will choose the longest way to go to Siwa in order not to be guided. He said that he would have a ceremony with boats on the river Nile and then on the Mediterranean Sea and further to the west of Alexandria, and from a specific point he will go straight forward and will reach Siwa. And because of this long way he used, he passed by the location of this city. There was nothing called Alexandria during the pharaonic time. So he chose here there was a village. This village was called Rakotis, exactly here where we are now. So Rakotis was inhabited by 4 fishermen, and opposite the village there was an island. So this island was called Pharos. So he decided that this would be the capital for Egypt, and they should connect the island with the land by building a bridge. And by having this bridge, they will have 2 ports: an eastern port, we already saw it, and the western port, which is the western harbor, where is your ship. Okay? And the bridge connecting the island with the land, it was reclaimed several times. It became part of the city. So we already crossed that bridge now. Okay? So this bridge used to be called Hepta Stadium. Hepta means 7. And stadium, it was a unit of measurement. 7 stadium equals 1 mile. So because the length of this bridge was about 1 mile. And he chose the plan of the city, that all of the streets are straight and crossed like chessboard. Okay? Until now, we have the same plan for the whole city. Even the new part of the city, we still have the same plan, that all of the streets are straight and crossed like chessboard. Okay? And there were 2 main streets of the city, and he just decided to have a very big enclosure wall surrounding Alexandria, which has 4 gates. Okay? And here, how to get the fresh water to support this new city, the new capital, with fresh water. He decided to dig a canal connecting Alexandria with the nearest branch of the Nile. The nearest branch of the Nile is about 84 kilometers to the east of Alexandria. After the death of Alexander the Great, Alexander the Great died when he was just 33 years old. There were many stories about the death of Alexander, but the one which makes sense, that he suffered from malaria and he died when he was in Babel. And after his death, the empire was divided between his commanders. Egypt was the lot of the Greek commander Ptolemy the First. So Ptolemy the First, when he knew that Egypt would be his lot, he decided that he wanted to have the honor of burying the body of Alexander the Great here in Alexandria before the end of the construction of the city. So he asked for that from his family in Macedonia, but they refused. He said no, Alexander should be buried in Macedonia. So what happened? He stole the body. Yes, he stole it and he buried it here in Alexandria in a secret tomb, which is still secret. Till now we know that the tomb of Alexander the Great, it's somewhere under the center of Alexandria, of ancient Alexandria, but where exactly nobody knows. And he said that they kept inside it a lot of jewelries, and the body of Alexander the Great was mummified. So once we find it, we will find the mummy of Alexander the Great. Okay? Yes. Till now. And even recently, during this month, they are making restorations for a street called Nabi Danyan Street. Nabi Daniel, in Arabic it means Prophet Daniel. Okay? So, we believe that the tomb of Alexander the Great is under that street. So they are working during the restorations and the renovation of this street during these days. They are working that maybe we can find the tomb of Alexander. Okay? And after Ptolemy the first, Ptolemy the second came and he finished the construction of this city. It was exactly in 282 BC. So after him was Ptolemy the third, and then the fourth and the fifth, till Ptolemy the 13th. He was the brother of Queen Cleopatra. Cleopatra the seventh, the famous Cleopatra. So she was the last Greek queen. So Cleopatra, when she started to rule Egypt, she was 16. She was that young, but she was very, very ambitious. You know that Cleopatra didn't have the right to rule at the beginning. She didn't have the right to be the queen of Egypt. But her brother was the king. And she wanted to rule Egypt anyway. So, she killed him. Yeah, that easy. She poisoned her brother. And she started to rule Egypt when she was 16. But she was so smart and very powerful girl. But anyway, the condition, the total condition, the economic condition, everything in Egypt was really very, very bad. So Egypt was in a very weak condition. Once Egypt was weak, Egypt was attacked. So Egypt was attacked by the Romans under the command of Julius Caesar. So Julius Caesar entered Egypt and defeated Cleopatra here in Alexandria. And after he defeated Cleopatra, he met her. He defeated the troops for Cleopatra. But once he met her, he fell in love with her. And he took her with him to a journey to South Africa. And she got pregnant. They got a son. They called him Caesarium. So the relationship between Mark Antony and Cleopatra was totally refused by the Romans. But Julius Caesar believed that maybe he can convince them. So he took Cleopatra and he went to Rome to do the ceremonies as the marriage for Cleopatra and Julius Caesar. And of course, once this marriage will be done, this means that Cleopatra will be the queen of Egypt. And they didn't want this Greek queen. So, what they did, you can tell me. What happened to Julius Caesar? Yes, they killed him. And once he was killed, Cleopatra escaped back to Egypt. If you watch the movie of Elizabeth Taylor, they wrapped her on a carpet and they put her on one of the boats coming from Rome to Alexandria. So this is really what happened. Of Cleopatra, you will never believe that this personality will commit suicide. Because she was very ambitious and very powerful and very charismatic personality. She was not that pretty, but she was a very attractive lady and very charismatic lady. So she always had plan B. She always had a plan to still be the queen of Egypt. Okay? So for myself, I believe that she was killed. Okay? Anyway, they found her body. And recently we found a tomb about 80 kilometers to the west of Alexandria. We believe that this tomb is the tomb of Queen Cleopatra. We already found the palace of Cleopatra sunk under the water. But for her tomb, we found it in the west of Alexandria, nearby a temple called Tabuzyrus Magna Temple. But we're still excavating, so it's not open to the public yet. Okay? So by the death of Cleopatra, This was the end of the Roman time, the end of the Greek time and the beginning of the Roman period. So Alexandria was still the capital of Egypt. So Alexandria was the capital of Egypt for about 1,000 years. From the Greek period, the Roman period, the Christian period, but it started not to be the capital of Egypt by the beginning of the Islamic period. When the commander Amr ibn al-As came here, he found that this city, it's a coastal city, very easy to be invaded. So he decided to change the capital to be near to Memphis, the capital during the Pharaonic period, on the top of the Delta of the Nile. And Alexandria just became the commercial city. Okay, it didn't lose its importance as the commercial city and the center of culture and knowledge, but it was not the capital of Egypt anymore. And about 14 kilometers of New Alexandria, or for recent Alexandria, that's the old part of the city. All of this is new. So the new part of the city, always we have sandy beach like this here. And during the 3 months of summer, which is June, July and August, about 14 to 15 million during the summertime. It's crazy, and the people deal with the whole city as a summer resort. So you can see somebody just wearing his swimming suit and walking on the street, okay? Because it's Alexandria, okay? And some ladies wearing their swimming suits. But of course, usually the ladies don't wear the normal swimming suits that you know on the streets, okay? There are private beaches for the ladies, even it's mixed for families. For the ladies, they can wear their swimming suits, even one piece or two pieces, whatever they want, okay? But always the ladies to swim in the beach which is near to the water like this, all the ladies who are veiled like me, to wear this kind of swimming suit which looks like a diving suit, covering the whole body, okay? Exactly like a diving suit, okay? With a short skirt over it, with the material which is, it can be stuck on the body and not to absorb the water. And with a diving cap, okay? So during the summertime, you can say that everybody is wearing this diving suit, and the men, they wearing the small shorts, these their swimming shorts, and they're just walking here, wet, sometimes wet. So really, Alexandria during summertime is crazy. For us as Alexandrians, because I've lived here all of my life, I'm born here and lived here all of my life, usually during the summertime, we just leave the city. Yeah. It's crazy to go anywhere here. You can spend 1 or 2 hours just to go from somewhere to the other. So just to the west of Alexandria, there are many summer resorts. You can say that most of Alexandria, they have their summer beaches there. So we just go away, just leave Alexandria for the vacationers. Okay, we let them enjoy it. Okay? And now we're getting closer to the palace, which is called Montaza Palace. So the word Montaza itself means park or huge garden, because this palace has a huge garden, and it dates back to 1892. Okay, it was built by one of the family of Muhammad Ali Pasha. It was the summer house. Usually they have several summer houses here, but the one we are going to visit now, it is the biggest. And the garden of the palace is about 350 acres. So it's not just a garden. It's a huge garden with a farm. Okay? They had a complete farm in the garden of their palace. Okay? And you know that this rain here, yesterday was the first day to rain in our winter season. So it's still not the winter, because we still wear the light clothes and short sleeves. But it's just the beginning. you know. Usually during the winter time, and when we reach like December and January, it rains heavily. It gets very cold and very windy. Okay. As Alexandrians, we love it during the winter time. The wet atmosphere, and the city is completely empty, so and clean and nice. So usually most of us, we just love the winter time, but during the summertime it gets really very hot. So yeah, so it's just about the maximum is about 38 to 39 Celsius degrees. So it's hot with the high humid. You feel the hot weather more. So that's why also we prefer just to leave the city. Even if you work here, it's easy to go to the summer resort because it's just like maybe 20 minutes. So it's better to be in the summer resort than being in your winter house here or your house here. You spend more time to go to your work. And of course you will see a lot of ladies who are wearing veil like me, and some other ladies they are not wearing veil, okay? And some other ladies they are totally covered. Some of them they are just wearing dress and a very big veil that's covering the whole chest, and some of them covering their faces and wearing gloves. Yeah. So what does this mean? All of them are Muslims. You know, the percentage of Muslims in Egypt is about 85%, and the rest are Christians. Okay. And in Alexandria we are 70% Muslims and 30% Christians, because Alexandria is considered more the center of Christianity, so there are more Christians here. And even before the revolution of 1952, Alexandria was the center of Judaism. There were a lot of Jews here. There was a very big Jewish community, as we have the biggest and the most beautiful synagogue of Egypt here in Alexandria. Okay? So all of the old ladies, if she's wearing a scarf, you don't know if she's Muslim or not, because even the Christian old ladies or the Christian Jewish ladies, they wear a scarf. Okay? But for the young ladies who are wearing a scarf, of course they are Muslims. Okay? But if they are not wearing a scarf, it doesn't mean that all of them are Christians. Some of them, they don't want to wear a scarf. It's their choice. Okay? Some of them, they want to show that they are more conservative. So they wear, white dresses and long scarf covering the chest. And some of them, they want to prove that they are more and more conservative. It's okay. That's their choice. Okay? So, we just respect the choice of each other, and that's it. Okay? So, now here on your left hand side, you can see the enclosure wall surrounding the whole palace. And this here, the tower in the middle, that's the main gate. Okay? So, the main characteristics or the architecture style for all of the buildings in this palace is the Byzantine style. And here we have two main buildings. The main palace itself, which is called Al-Haramlik. Al-Haramlik, it's derived from the Arabic word Haram. Haram means the most sacred place, because this was the part which was just for the king and the queen and the royal family. So this small part for the king and the queen and royal family consists of 350 rooms. Okay? Just a tiny palace for that. Okay, and that's, as I told you, that's the summer house. That's not the main palace. Okay? But from inside, it's very richly decorated. And you know that the furniture is still the original furniture. But unfortunately, that the palace itself, after the revolution of 1952, it was just closed for some renovations. It was open to the public as a museum for about 10 years. And after that, during the period of President Sadat, he was the one that he decided that he will use some of these palaces all over Egypt to be the residential palace for the king. Yes, the king. for the president. Okay, so he started to use it as the summer house for the president. Until now, it is closed down for the people. It's not allowed for us. It's allowed for everybody to be outside, to see it from outside, but not to get in, because that's the palace for the president during the summertime. Okay? And there is another palace here. The other palace is called Salamlik. Salamlik is a small, is real small palace this time. So the small one consists of 30 rooms. This here was just the guest house. It's called El Salamlik. It's Salamlik because here to say hi or hello, it's Salam Alaikum. Okay, Salam Alaikum. So, Salam Alaikum. Yeah. So, in Salamlik, so there they welcome the guest. So they say Salam Alaikum there. So it's Salamlik. Okay? So in El Salamlik, just these 33 bedrooms for the visitors, but after the revolution of 1952, this became a property for the government. So they started to use it as a hotel. So now it's a hotel called El Salamlik Hotel. All of the furniture is the royal furniture, so it's one of the most expensive hotels in Alexandria. So what happened to the royal family in 1952? By especially Gamal Abdel Nasser, that he will leave Egypt peacefully and they shouldn't kill anyone, everybody will leave. But he wanted to have a very big ceremony for the king himself as the king is leaving. So they did that for him. So he left Egypt from here. Okay, from that palace here. His yacht was nearby the palace here. His yacht was an amazing yacht. It was called El Mahrusa. That's a new building here, that's a hotel. I'll show you first the main buildings and then I'll show you all of the new buildings we have here as activities. Of course, we're using the huge area of 350 acres. Okay, so he left, King Farouk left Egypt to Italy and he just waved to the people by that the king is leaving. But he was so depressed that after less than 5 years he died there. Okay, we're sure that he was not killed because they left all of the rest of the royal family, they're still alive. Okay, but he said that he was depressed and this guy, he was a very big guy, so he used to eat a lot. So I said that he died in a restaurant. One day he ate a meal for more than, it's enough for 20 persons. He ate it all and he just died in the restaurant. Anyway, very bad way to die. Anyway, he was just buried here in Egypt, so they were allowed to be buried here. All of them, when each one of them just die, they can just bring them back here to be buried in the graveyard of the family of Muhammad Ali Pasha. Okay? And all of the gardens here, as I told you, 350 acres and 14 kilometers of paved roads. So the gardens, they collected even some of the rare plants that can be planted here in the climate of Egypt, and they start to plant it here. And of course there are a lot of date palm trees. And this building you can see on your left hand side, that's not one of the main buildings. This was the house for servants. Now it's a hotel. Okay, so this was for the servants who served the main palace we are heading to now. So you can see here on the right hand side, that's a new building, even it's in the same architecture style, but this here for the security of the president. And now we can see the main palace. Of course we'll stop somewhere that you can get the best photo for it. So the main palace here, that's the one I was talking about, that it consists of 330 rooms. where the king's bureau, the private bedrooms for the king and the queen. All of it is decorated with the letter F. You will see it from outside here. There are white circles and there is the letter F in English. So the letter F here, because all of the last generation of the royal family, their names start with letter F. Especially starting from the reign of King Fuad the First. This King Fuad the First, he believed that the beginning of his name is the lucky letter for everyone. So he started to change the names of all of the members of the royal family to start with the letter F. Even King Farouk, when he started to rule Egypt and he should get married, so he married a very young lady. Her name was Nariman, starting with the N. So how come to have a family member of the royal family with a name not starting with letter F? So he started to call her Farida. Yeah, Farida means unique, but starting with the letter F, and she was a very unique queen. The people loved her. She was a very, very decent lady. And red, it means the bloody age of being kingdom. In the middle, that's the white part or the white beginning. An eagle in the middle, this here symbolizing the army. Okay? And all of the trees you can see here, all of them are very high trees surrounding the main buildings. So the trees here, all of them to protect during the winter time, all of the trees just protecting the main buildings here. That most of the trees are just bending this way here because that's the direction of the wind. And all of these buildings here are just small summer houses because, as you can see, we're trying to get it a little bit modernized, but even to keep the main buildings as it is. But the huge area which used to be here, we start to use it to have summer resorts and hotels. You know that all of these gardens now are opened for public.
You're going to ask me.
So, Beverly, where are we?
We're at the King's Palace. And it starts with an F, but I don't know how to say it. In Alexandria, Egypt.
And what is it now?
What do you mean?
This is the presidential palace.
Oh,
There's no more king of Egypt.
actually they're making everything hotels. The grounds are being turned into hotels.
Here comes Julius Caesar with his troops marching into Alexandria.
Here they try to have a mixture between the ancient and the modern. So all of the columns ends with the shape of the lotus flower, and the ceiling have the shape of the pyramids. But the glass facade and from inside it's very, very modern. This building here for the activities of the library, especially the conferences and orchestras. So now, if you want to get out of the bus, it's okay, but we just have here 10 minutes, okay? Just 10 minutes, you can get out of the bus and
You wanna
take a
get out?
photo. island in the sea. This island, all of it is sunk under the water. So what we found over this island was the palace of Queen Cleopatra. We found the complete palace under the water. So since 1974 we started to have the excavations under the water, because it's excellently by a diver. We found that there is something under the water, and we found large collection of pieces. So we found that because of two earthquakes we had here in Alexandria. One was during the 11th century AD, and the other one was during the 14th century AD. By these two earthquakes, the water table became higher than before, so it covered the old shore of Alexandria, and the island which was here was completely sunk under the water, and also the lighthouse of Alexandria was totally ruined, and the rest of it were just found under the water. So that's why we found large collection. We picked up about 2,500 pieces, and there are still more and more and more. So these pieces are exhibited in different sites, in museums and in architecture sites. And the rest of the pieces which are under the water, these here, we are planning to have a museum, like an aquarium. It will be a glass museum under the water, that we can see the pieces exhibited under the water as it is. And here there is a square which is the main square of Alexandria, which is the square of Saad Zaghloul, because we have a statue in the middle for a man. His name was Saad Zaghloul. This Saad Zaghloul, he was the first one of the public to lead a revolution against the British occupation in 1919. And the location of this statue here, or the square here, used to have a temple. This temple was called, they will have here in the center of ancient Alexandria a museum. So while digging to have the foundations of this museum, they found the blocks of marble, so they started to do the research to know what was here, and then they started to rebuild the building again. And also, we're still excavating in that area. We found ruins of houses. These houses, of course, were for very wealthy people, because this was the center of the ancient city. So, of course, the very wealthy people who had their houses in the center of the city. And all of the floors of these houses were very richly decorated with mosaic, as one of them has very beautiful scene for different shape and different sizes of birds. So we call it the bird's house, just because of the scenes of birds decorating its floors. And it still keeps the same colors till now. And also we have like an open exhibition for pieces which all of them were found in the same area. So we are going to stop by the Roman amphitheater just for 5 minutes to take photos, and then to go to the fortress of Qaitbay. Okay, so we will stop because it's just nearby here. We will stop just for 5 minutes. You can get closer to the enclosure wall, and you can just take a photo for the site. And this street here is considered as the street of all councillors. Most of the councillors are here in this street, and this district called the Latin district, because originally most of the Greeks used to live in this district here. 5 minutes. هذا مش
It's like somebody made a home right there.
Yeah. Waterfront property. Very low
Kitty
rent.
cat.
And the kitty cat. And the ice cream man.
When the British came here and they attacked Egypt, they bombed that fortress completely. So we've rebuilt it again, and since that time it became just a monument. It's not for fortifying Alexandria or Egypt anymore.
I think he wants to come over here.
Yeah.
Papyrus, papyrus, bookmark, papyrus, papyrus, bookmark.
There she is, folks, on the bus, smiling, happy. Yes, look at her.
Doesn't know what it means. I've explained it to him. And I still it's hard to explain it to 5-year-old.
خد الجروب ده بتاعك انت يا باشا.
Horace! From here is good. Until you have a better angle and then let's go back to the bus.
Okay.